Hello, and welcome to another video for a successful transition from monogamy to open. This is Dr. Rhoda, and today we're going to talk further about the 7 guidelines for great relationships and better communication. And we're going to start with number 1 of the 7, which is accept your partner as is. Now, with accepting your partner as is, there's 3 basic steps to that. Number 1 is you want to avoid blame as much as possible. Number 2, you want to remember that your job in the relationship is not to fix, change, or straighten out your partner. And number 3, allow yourself to influence your partner, yet do not demand that they change. Also, make sure you're giving them the freedom to influence you. I always say this is probably one of the most difficult of the 7 steps to do for people. And we have a hard time wrapping our head around this, I think, because our society encourages this belief system that we can change people, or that we're even supposed to change people, as if somehow we know best how the other person should be behaving. So you need to start by changing that kind of paradigm that you think, evaluate, and interpret communication with each other, so that you get away from this thought that you're right, they're wrong, and you should be changing them. You have to remember you are only able to control any change that you're going to make to yourself. You're the only one you can control. And even then, you're only going to change yourself with a great amount of motivation. You need to focus on what you're doing in your relationship. And how are you influencing things? What is your role in it? When you're accepting them as they are, it's important sometimes to think back to the beginning of the relationship. Think about the things that you admired about this person. What is it that made you smile early on? What made you laugh? What made you respect them and want to be with them? And now, are some of the things that you appreciated then, or maybe just tolerated, the things that are making you crazy? And if they are making you crazy, why? What made you ever think that those things were going to change? You accepted that as part of the agreement of being in this relationship early on. It isn't going to suddenly change. Sometimes I like to tell this story. This was probably maybe 11, 12 years ago. And I stumbled across one of the books that a lot of this is taken from. And I've used it in my own marriage. And about probably 10, 12 years ago, it was my husband's birthday. And I had to work late that day. And so I had made dinner reservations for 8 o'clock. And we lived in the southern suburbs. And so the restaurant was downtown. And so I told him, all right, I need you ready by 7:30 because we got to be out the door by 7:30, and I will be home so we can go and get to the restaurant in time. And anyone knows me knows I don't like to be late. So I get done at 7 from my office. I drive home quickly. I get home. I walk in the front door. It's 7:24 p.m. I'm like, oh, great. I get an extra 5 minutes. And what do I hear when I walk in the door? I hear the sound of the shower and my husband in the shower. And I am immediately furious. Like, oh my God, it's 7:24 and you're just now in the shower. You're just now getting ready. We have to leave at 7:30. So I go storming upstairs and I get to the bathroom, and sure enough, he's in the shower. And thankfully I stopped myself. And I went, okay. And I walked myself back downstairs and I sat down at the kitchen table and I thought, okay, let's think about this for a second. 7:24 gives him 6 minutes. Shower, shave, get dressed, get ready, be presentable, and be downstairs by 7:30. When I told him that was the time we were leaving. And I'm thinking to myself, well, if there's anybody I know who can get ready in less than 6 minutes, it's him. So I sat there, and sure enough, 7:28, He comes downstairs, he's showered, he's shaved, he's cleaned up, he's dressed, he looks wonderful, he's happy, I'm happy. He's really happy because I didn't come screaming at him in the shower. And he never even knew I was upset. So we had a great evening, we had a wonderful time. That wouldn't have happened if I'd gone in there screaming and trying to accept that he was something other than what I wanted at that moment. That he waited at the last minute, but still could pull it off, was accepting him as he is. Now, of course, there are exceptions to this rule in that, well, if you are involved with an abusive alcoholic, I would say, first of all, yes, you do have to accept that this is who they are, this is how they are, and this is extremely unlikely to change. And while you may need to accept that this is who they are, that doesn't mean you need to stay in that relationship. You may have to make some very hard choices about, okay, you're abusive, this isn't going to change, I need to go. And especially if you have children involved, as the adult, you kind of have a responsibility to take care of their safety, and you need to get them out of that situation. So, and finally, allow influence. Everything you do, everything you say exerts influence on each other. You want to remember that your relationship is a dance. And especially if you've been in this relationship for a long time, you've been doing this dance for a long time. And your partner knows your steps and you know their steps. You change your steps in the dance, in time, that is going to force them to change their steps. Now, initially, they may not be very happy about it because they're not happy you changed your steps. But if you keep doing it, eventually they have to change their steps. So just by your changing your behavior, you can subtly change their behavior. So that's all for that today. Tomorrow we're going to talk about expressing appreciation frequently, and I will see you then. Thanks so much. Bye.